What was your insulin doing this morning? Not on paper months ago, but inside your real life today.
Could your meals look normal while your cells are quietly becoming harder and harder to reach?
You can feel fine, eat fairly well, stay active, and still be sliding toward insulin resistance.
Because the earliest warning is often not glucose alone. Sometimes the strain starts long before glucose looks alarming.
Here's the part most people miss. By the time glucose rises, the problem may already be well underway. I've seen people leave a routine visit believing everything is fine, because nobody explained what the numbers were really suggesting. And that is how hidden metabolic stress survives. Quiet, unchallenged, and easy to ignore. Insulin resistance means your body needs more insulin than it should, just to do an ordinary job. At first, the body compensates beautifully. That's why the danger can look so ordinary. What if the meal you call normal is the exact reason your energy keeps crashing?
A meal can look harmless, yet trigger a larger insulin response than your body can comfortably manage.
That's why two people can share the same glucose number, but not the same metabolic story.
Afternoon fatigue, cravings, and brain fog may not be random. Sometimes they are metabolic feedback. Your body often whispers before it alarms. The problem is, most people never learn that language. A body working harder is not the same as a body working well, and insulin can overwork for years. This is why early insulin resistance can hide behind ordinary labs, ordinary routines, and ordinary denial. The body responds to patterns, not intentions. Good intentions do not cancel repeated high insulin eating.
That is the real story here. Repeated small signals can slowly build a very big consequence.
If you only watch glucose, you may be watching the later chapter instead of the opening pages.
You do not need a diabetes diagnosis to already be paying the price of insulin resistance.
And no, this is not only about body size. Thin outside does not always mean healthy inside.
When the system is overloaded, the liver often becomes one of the first places that stress shows up.
Waist changes, triglycerides, cravings, and crashes can all be clues that insulin is working too hard. Sleep loss, stress, and late eating can push the same system in the wrong direction, again and again.
Now let's talk about the number that grabs attention, because headlines are powerful, but context is everything.
That 71% figure is linked to higher magnesium intake patterns, not a guaranteed miracle in every person. So the real lesson is larger than a capsule. Magnesium may help, but biology never works in isolation. Magnesium matters because it supports insulin signaling, muscle function, energy handling, and blood sugar control. When magnesium status is poor, the system can become more reactive, less efficient, and harder to stabilize. If your foundation is broken, even a smart supplement can only do part of the job.
The body is reading your total pattern, your sleep, your meals, your movement, and your recovery.
This is why some people try hard, yet see little progress. Effort matters, but direction matters more.
The moment you start tracking patterns, your body stops feeling mysterious and starts becoming teachable.
Feedback changes behavior. Once you see the pattern, it becomes much harder to unsee it. The number on the scale can distract you from the deeper story, how your body is actually responding. Sometimes the clues live in combinations: fasting insulin, triglycerides, waist size, energy, and recovery.
Waist measurement is not about shame. It is about understanding where metabolic pressure tends to collect. Meals built with more protein, fiber, and minerals often create a very different response than fast starch alone.
Before supplements, it helps to remember, magnesium is also a food story, not only a bottle story. Your first meal can decide whether the day feels steady or becomes a chain reaction of hunger and crashes.
Different breakfasts do not just change calories. They change hormones, appetite, and the afternoon that follows.
This is why what feels like weak willpower may actually be poor metabolic sequencing.
Even light movement after eating can improve where glucose goes, out of the bloodstream and into muscle.
Muscle is one of your most powerful glucose sinks. When muscle works, metabolism often works better too. Here is the overlooked advantage. Better muscle function can make your body more forgiving after meals.
Strength training is not only for appearance. It changes how much glucose your tissues can handle.
The more metabolically active tissue you preserve, the easier it is to buffer everyday food exposure. Big change rarely arrives from one heroic act. It usually arrives from small, repeated decisions. And then there is sleep, the variable people underestimate until they see what one bad night can do. Lose sleep, and your next day may feel hungrier, foggier, and far less metabolically stable.
Poor sleep can increase stress signaling, cravings, and insulin demand before breakfast even begins.
Sometimes the craving is not weakness. Sometimes it is yesterday's sleep debt speaking through today's biology. So the story is shifting now. From hidden damage to hidden leverage, the small inputs that change tomorrow. Next, we build the reversal strategy. What to eat, when it matters, and where magnesium truly fits. What if your first real metabolic advantage is not dramatic, but consistent, simple, and repeated every morning? Magnesium shows up in the places that matter most: energy handling, nerve signaling, muscle function, and insulin response. When the body has what it needs, it often handles fuel with less friction and less hormonal overreaction.
The first strategy is not perfection. It is replacing low-signal foods with foods that actually help your chemistry. A food can satisfy your mouth for minutes or support your metabolism for hours. Those are not the same thing.
If you keep getting hungry too soon, your meal may be feeding appetite instead of stabilizing it. Meals that digest too quickly can demand another wave of insulin and leave you unsatisfied soon after. A more balanced start can lower the chaos later. Fewer crashes, fewer cravings, and a steadier mental state. That steadier curve matters because the body generally performs better when demand arrives gradually instead of all at once. The goal is not to chase excitement from food. The goal is to stop needing rescue from it. It is not only what you eat. Sometimes the clock changes the metabolic cost of the same meal. Many bodies handle food better earlier than later, which makes repeated late eating harder to ignore. Late eating can collide with fatigue, poor sleep, and lower metabolic readiness, all in the same moment. When recovery is slower, the effects can spill into sleep quality, hunger, and tomorrow's energy. Sometimes, a small choice made late in the evening can subtly influence how the next morning feels, even when the connection isn't immediately obvious. You may forget what happened last night, but your body often continues living with the consequence. Tracking timing reveals what memory hides. It shows which habits are actually creating tomorrow's struggle. Sometimes the smartest intervention is not adding something new. It is moving one existing habit to a better time. Hydration is another quiet variable. When it slips, appetite, fatigue, and decision-making can all get worse. Mild dehydration does not always feel dramatic, but it can make a stressed system even less cooperative. The question is not whether coffee is evil. The question is what it is covering up in you.
Caffeine can feel useful while still amplifying a system that is already running too tense and too fast. Do not guess your tolerance. Observe it. The body usually tells the truth when you actually watch it.
Supportive routines feel less exciting in the moment, but often create a much stronger day.
Stress chemistry changes food decisions, glucose control, and appetite. That is why calm is a metabolic tool.
If your morning begins in panic, your metabolism may spend the rest of the day trying to catch up.
A chronically activated stress response can make stable eating and stable energy much harder than they need to be. You do not have to eliminate stress. You need a way to interrupt it before it starts driving behavior. The most effective routines often look simple from the outside, because the power is in repetition, not drama. Now the strategy becomes clearer. Steadier meals, better timing, calmer mornings, and nutrients that support the whole system. Here is the question everybody wants answered. When does magnesium food support become magnesium supplement support?
That answer depends on the person, because more is not always smarter, and context always matters.
Magnesium can be helpful, but it belongs inside a larger plan, not outside one.
Form, dose, timing, and tolerance can all change whether a supplement supports you or simply irritates you.
A useful supplement is not just about what works in theory. It is about what your body can actually use well. This is where many people get stuck, and they want one smart fix for 5 ongoing metabolic mistakes.
Insulin resistance improves best when multiple levers move together, even modestly, in the right direction.
The body often rewards consistency before it rewards intensity, which is why sustainable change matters so much. Real reversal often feels quiet at first. Better mornings, better hunger control, better stability, then stronger markers later. This is the identity shift most people are really after. Not thinner for a moment, but more stable from within. The deepest goal is not to hide the signal. It is to build a body that stops needing so much compensation. And that change begins the moment you stop treating your numbers like random bad luck. Patterns explain more than single readings, because metabolism is a living system, not a frozen snapshot. Once you see the network, the strategy becomes less confusing. Each good choice helps the others work better.
Preparation reduces friction. And reducing friction is one of the smartest ways to improve long-term behavior.
The strongest habits often win before the day begins, because the hard choice was removed in advance.
Movement after waking does not just burn energy. It can improve how the whole day is metabolically organized.
When the body feels more stable, discipline often stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling natural.
That is the hidden reward of better physiology. Better choices become easier because you are not fighting the same hunger.
Supportive nutrients, including magnesium, matter most when they help restore balance rather than promise magic. It means possibility, not certainty. It means support, not a shortcut. And that difference changes everything.
A number on a bottle only matters inside the life around it. The routines, the deficits, and the person using it.
The real reversal begins when you stop looking for rescue and start building a body that can respond better.
Next, we uncover the mistakes that keep insulin resistance alive, even in people who believe they are doing everything right.
One of the biggest traps is thinking insulin resistance disappears just because your meals look healthier on the surface. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Many people are trying hard, but their strategy is leaking in places they never notice. Reversal fails when the visible habits improve, but the invisible pressures keep pushing metabolism in the wrong direction. Some foods wear a health halo while quietly creating the same fast hunger and same unstable response.
That is why marketing can confuse people. A healthy label does not guarantee a healthy metabolic outcome.
When food quality is judged by packaging instead of response, people can stay stuck for years without understanding why. If a food keeps you craving more, feeling foggy, or needing rescue later, the body is already giving you feedback. The smarter question is not whether a snack is small. It is whether it actually helps you stay metabolically steady.
Foods that slow the pace of absorption often reduce the need for constant compensation from insulin.
Structure matters too. A balanced plate can shape how much insulin demand the same meal creates. Restaurants can make metabolism harder to read because excess calories often arrive hidden inside convenience and flavor. The calories that block progress are often the ones people never count, never notice, and never remember.
And then there is the second trap. Believing one workout cancels 10 hours of sitting.
Your body responds not only to exercise sessions, but also to how inactive the rest of the day becomes.
Frequent small movement breaks can keep glucose handling more active than one isolated burst alone.
Progress accelerates when the day stops being a cycle of long stillness interrupted by occasional guilt-driven effort. You can eat better, move more, and still feel stuck if your recovery keeps sabotaging your metabolism every night. Sleep is not passive. It is one of the main times your metabolic system either resets or stays inflamed and dysregulated. Improving sleep often looks simple, but simple does not mean weak. It means the biology is foundational. Better sleep changes the next morning before the first meal even begins, and that changes the whole chain that follows.
This is the third trap. Living in low-grade stress and forgetting that stress changes eating, cravings, and blood sugar behavior.
Stress can quietly steer the exact behaviors that keep insulin resistance alive, even when you know better. A tense body often wants fast relief, fast comfort, and fast energy, and that usually means poor metabolic decisions. That is why calming the nervous system is not separate from metabolic work. It is part of it.
Small regulation habits can interrupt a stress spiral before it turns into emotional eating and poor recovery.
Sometimes the most protective meal is not only what is served, but also the pace and environment around it. Another mistake is assuming every popular strategy works equally well for every stressed, sleep-deprived, insulin-resistant body. A tool can be helpful in one body and harmful in another, depending on sleep, stress, appetite control, and behavior patterns. If skipping meals makes you overeat later, the strategy may be increasing the exact instability you are trying to reduce. This is why context beats trends. The right strategy is the one your body can actually sustain without backlash. Magnesium belongs in this conversation as support, not as a replacement for rhythm, sleep, food quality, and movement. The real reversal happens when multiple levers begin working together, instead of one product carrying impossible expectations.
And notice the pattern. No single lever needs perfection for the whole system to start improving.
This is the part people underestimate. Modest consistency often beats extreme effort that collapses after 3 days. The body begins to trust repeated safety, repeated stability, and repeated nourishment more than bursts of punishment. This is where the story changes from numbers on a chart to identity. Someone who now understands how to work with the body. If you think this is about one pill or one trick, you miss the deeper opportunity to rebuild the entire system. Reversal is the result of many small signals telling the body it no longer needs to live in constant compensation.
Now even magnesium makes more sense, because it is supporting a body that is finally receiving the rest of the right signals.
That is why thoughtful use matters more than blind copying, especially with supplements, doses, and individual tolerance.
Good medicine is personal. Good self-care is personal too. The best strategy is built for the life you actually live.
It is not always secrecy. Sometimes the deeper lifestyle conversation simply does not fit inside a rushed appointment.
That means the missing piece is often not hidden information. It is your willingness to notice your own patterns consistently. Once you gather real feedback, the body stops feeling random and starts revealing exactly where progress is being blocked. And when the blockers become visible, change feels less like shame and more like intelligent course correction.
The environment matters because people rarely rise to perfect discipline. They usually fall to the level of their setup.
Transformation becomes far more realistic when the healthy choice stops requiring a daily internal battle. What once felt like discipline eventually starts to feel like identity. And that is when progress becomes durable. Now the story is no longer about chasing a number. It is about living in a body that responds better, day after day. That is the real reward. Steadier energy, clearer choices, better mornings, and a future that feels more under your influence. So yes, magnesium may help, but the strongest reversal strategy is always broader, more honest, and more consistent than a headline.
The real miracle is what happens when a person finally understands the pattern and decides to stop feeding the problem.
Reversal begins the moment you stop waiting for rescue and start practicing the signals your body has been asking for.
And that is how the story ends. Not with a shortcut, but with a system rebuilt strongly enough to change the future.